This time on Video Game Tango, we've got the GTA 6 leaks, graphics card, news, Sins of a Solar Empire, news, Warhammer Darktide, news, Star Citizen, news, Cyberpunk, news, and news about your favorite gaming-flavored podcast.
Yes, this is Nick, and I might not be thick with two C's, but I am thick like a voiceless dental non-sibilant African.
Hi, I'm Josh, and on this episode we have leaks and edging.
My name's Andy. My ritualistic fingers aren't working correctly today, and this is Video Game Tango.
News.
Are you ready, kids?
Aye, aye, Captain!
I can't hear you.
Aye, aye, Captain!
Oh, noise floor.
No.
Hey, we're back with Video Game Tango.
We were doing
I held
this
it
thing.
in as long as physically possible.
Yeah, dude.
You're as red as physically possible.
That was too dude, I almost popped a blood vessel
that
in
was a
my
good-
brain over that. Good
That was a good
Lord.
time. And for you audio listeners and you watching it on YouTube, you're missing a lot in the live stream, man.
Yep.
So normally we get started right about 9 for the recording. Now it's 10:19. We've done a podcast
We had
previous to
some
this already.
opinions.
Yeah.
Oh boy, we did. Yeah. And we talked a lot about politics
MSG,
and
SpongeBob.
spiders. Oh yeah, lots of stuff.
Things were mentioned,
But what we have for you
Topics.
today
discussed.
is a little thing I like to call Grand Theft Auto 6.
Yes.
Little
Yes.
thing.
Just a little guy, you know?
Earlier this week, a leaker by the name of Teapot Uber Hacker.
Guess what
just
he
say
did
leaker.
earlier?
Yes, I
Can't
can.
just say leaker.
He's a leaker called
He's a
Teapot
leaker.
Uber Hacker.
Teapot Uber hacker.
Guess what he did earlier in the week?
He hacked Uber.
Turn 13.
Nope. Well, I mean, he might have done that too. But
With that handle?
He definitely hacked Uber.
But Teapot Uber Hacker posted to the Grand Theft Auto forums, "Hi, here are 90 footage/clips from GTA 6. It's possible I could leak more data soon, GTA 5 and 6 source code and assets, and GTA 6 testing build." He then goes on to give his Telegram and download links and locations for all of the leaked footage that he's got of Grand Theft Auto 6 in its current test build. Now, there was a lot of conjecture online saying this probably isn't real. We can't say that these leaks are legitimate. And there were a lot of people that were really disappointed by the quality of graphics and the build that they were looking at. So they assumed that it might have been somebody's pet project in Unity or UE5 or something
Honestly,
like that.
dude, I looked at an early video for like 10 seconds, 5 seconds, and I was like, nah, this ain't it. This ain't it. And I just moved on very quickly, and I was like, oh, someone's trying to get my goat. Someone's trying to pull my chain here.
Yeah.
And then the
Well-
truth revealed.
There was some footage that definitely looked earlier than other footage, right? So they did have some reasonably complete scenes that I watched, including the robbing of a convenience store. And it looked very GTA. But it is an early build, and people were skeptical. However, since then, we've gotten a message from Rockstar Games. Rockstar Games says, "We recently suffered a network intrusion in which unauthorized third-party illegally accessed and downloaded confidential information from our systems, including early development footage for the next Grand Theft Auto. At this time, we do not anticipate any disruption to our live game services nor any long-term effect on the development of our ongoing projects. We are extremely disappointed to have any details of our next game shared with you at all in this way. Our work on the next Grand Theft Auto game will continue as planned, and we remain as committed as ever to delivering an experience to you, our players, that truly exceeds your expectations. We will update everyone again soon, and of course, we'll properly introduce you to this next game when it's ready. We want to thank everyone for their ongoing support through this situation. The Rockstar Games team." So Rockstar has come out and all but said that the leak is real.
And honestly, for me, when all of a sudden those same videos that I had access to and could watch,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden they started dropping,
Start disappearing in front of your eyes.
disappearing, right? And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh. And that's for me, all of a sudden I was like, fuck, I should have really been absorbing this shit, god damn it. And then this letter, this little message, this little missive from Rockstar, really, I mean, it obviously seals the deal.
Yeah.
They full on, hey, the leak happened. Now, I'm kind of two minds. Now, I'm very happy that story or like stuff like that wasn't like, key.
No, some key stuff did leak.
Well, but this is all stuff that was already, I mean, like the female Latina lead
protagonist,
the protagonist that was pretty like it is now, it's confirmed now. Most of this leak kind of just like there was not a lot of new stuff in there. It's new because we're seeing it for the first time.
Yeah.
But it's really just confirming a lot of things that were pretty much already.
It confirmed a lot of speculation.
A lot of speculation,
yeah.
Right? A lot of prime speculation, not just, a lot of reasoned speculation, not hypotheses, but evidence showing it's going to go this way, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it does confirm that, but I mean, no serious story leaks.
It's pretty well theorized now that it's going to be taking place in Vice City.
I mean, again,
which was previously speculated, but that looks very much confirmed now. It also confirmed other potential locations in southern Florida. There was, I think the town's name was Greenville, that was on the side of a police car.
Okay, so
they saw
Vice
phone
City
numbers.
Was all but confirmed.
Sure.
So,
Well, it wasn't though. It was really just speculation. There were no official confirmations on female protagonists. That was just something that people extrapolated from what Rockstar was saying about how they were, starting to recognize that they haven't had a female lead since GTA on the Game Boy, or a female protagonist at all.
Yeah, I was gonna say like a female lead's like
not a lead.
But like having it like a playable protagonist character, right? I don't think they've ever had one of those. I think this is their first one, which I mean,
but they've been talking about getting better representation in their games for a while now,
absolutely,
and that's where a lot of the speculation came from.
Sure. But again, this is, I mean, I feel like it's so my other mind of it is like, hey, this is wrong, but I mean, Rockstar, the leak, yeah, exactly, the leak is wrong. But I mean, Rockstar announced this game February 4th, 2022, this year, February of this year.
They announced that they had that it was coming,
that it was in development,
yeah.
That it's coming. It is, yes, in fact, in development. More to come. And in usual Rockstar fashion, more did not come. So, like, in one aspect, am I excited about this? Yes, very much so. I was drinking it up as much as I could before they started taking it down. But on the other side of this, it's like, well, I mean, info on like, honestly, on GTA 6 has been a long time coming. We've had two mainline console releases.
But GTA 5's been out for 80 years.
Yeah, exactly.
It's seen 3 console life cycles.
Right? That's, Jesus Christ, that's unfucking heard of. So, like, we've been waiting for GTA 6 or the next iteration for a long fucking time. And so some of this, like, I'm just kind of happy to see that it actually is happening, that I'm not being lied to, and it's not just a fucking expansion or some bullshit, right? But
Video Game Donkey probably said it best when he did his video of it talking about the GTA 6 leak. He talked about how many games Rockstar put out during the 360 era, and it was a ton. It was a lot. I don't have them here, but go watch Video Game Donkey's latest video on the GTA 6
right after you finish this.
Yeah, sure. And he goes over all the games that came out during the 360 era, the last of which being GTA 5.
Yep.
And then GTA 5 was the only thing they put out on the Xbox One era other than Red Dead Redemption 2.
Which, I mean, honestly is a fucking masterpiece in and of itself.
Yeah,
but
of course. But, I mean, thing is all they did was port it, right? That was the work they did. They put an existing game on the new platform, and then they made one game for the new platform. And since then, all they've done is port GTA 5 again to Xbox Series and PS5.
Yeah, like, well, honestly, dude, that's the thing is, like, now I have a system that I really want to play with the mods and all that shit. I refuse to buy GTA 5 for a fourth fucking time. It's not happening. It's not happening. I'm not buying it again. It's not fucking happening. It's not.
Okay.
But I kind of want to, but it's not.
Yeah. Well,
so I drank it. I drank up this stuff here, and when the takedowns really started happening, that's when I knew it was real. So I don't know. But this dude, fucking Teapot Uber, boy, he's stepping on some toes, though, right? Like, I mean,
oh yeah, big time. It seems like basically the way his post to the GTA forums reads is he says to end it, he says, okay, so this has gone unexpectedly viral. Woke up to 3,000 Telegram DMs. If you are an employee of Rockstar or Take-Two and you're trying to contact me, send a message containing 2255-9219889638875756 on Telegram, or you can email me at teapotuberhacker@protonmail.com from your corporate address, highlighted and lots of asterisks. Mm-hmm. I will try to read all these replies soon. I'm looking to negotiate a deal. So it seems like he might be holding more information, potentially at ransom from Rockstar.
Well, I mean, like, if he has code, like, right? I mean, he
has GTA 5 and 6 source code and assets and the GTA 6 testing build.
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, at this point, the FBI are involved.
Yeah.
So it's like that's a real deal. But
yeah. But well, I mean, listen, the only reason that Rockstar came out and confirmed the leaks is because they're going to have to do that for their shareholders, right?
Yeah. That's kind of like, I mean, we were kind of talking about that earlier. It's like, honestly, until Rockstar confirmed it, I thought it was some sort of hoax or, like you said, someone working on, doing some overtime in Unity or, I mean, something like that. I thought it was a hoax. But then they started dropping and Rockstar put out their message and it's like, oh, shit, fuck, I should have watched more of them. But anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it does kind of speak that's, in the industry, I feel like most news does come from a leaker.
I mean, anymore, most of the AAA games, we get at least some kind of leaked info.
Right?
GTA 6 is a monolith.
Right? It's a fucking monster to leak. I get it. It separates itself because of the title and it does. It separates itself out. Because
everybody owns GTA. Everybody plays GTA.
Everybody.
GTA 5 was the most profitable game ever made.
I don't doubt it. I've considered buying it for a fourth goddamn time. Well, of course it's the most, I mean, I get it.
When they stopped putting R&D and development time into a game that they said was going to be getting a lot more content than it did, like, additional story elements to the campaign, you're going to save a lot of money there. And then when you start asking money for digital currency, shark cards, there's a lot of money to be made there. When your only real expense for a game that is as popular as GTA 5, in which you've sold on multiple platforms, all it's doing is like all you need to pay for is server upkeep, then you're gonna have an extremely profitable game.
Yeah.
But that also means that they have an extremely profitable franchise that they're trying to keep as secretive as possible.
I mean, I know.
So let me chime in here.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I'm thinking about what I want to say. So I'm still kind of having trouble wrapping my head around the concept of video game leaks. So let's think about a book or a TV show or a movie. Like, it's not uncommon to see pre-production or production footage of a set of a movie by like the actors themselves on the Instagram.
Yeah.
And then when a movie comes out, if it does well, they will have a director's commentary as an after thing, talking about all the behind the scenes stuff that the movie is going on.
Yeah.
Everything that you would want to know before the movie if you were super into it, right? But when it comes to games, there is somehow, and not only the concern of a leak, but the idea that they can sue for some amount of damages because this information's been leaked. Like, to me, what if something leaks and you see something like, I saw 4 screenshots of this GTA 6 leak and it looked like really high, better resolution, better models of GTA 5 people in a playground of no texture buildings, right? Where's the damage? But here's the thing, that's my thinking, but there is damage because then there's a whole bunch of people freaking out saying that it looks like shit.
That's part of it, yeah.
the game's not done,
Yeah.
right? You know, if I'm making dinner and you see me and I'm halfway through cutting carrots and the steak's still raw in the fridge, the dinner's not going to be shit, right? You don't know yet. I haven't cooked it. So like, it's really hard for me to wrap my head around really what the problem is. I understand there is a problem. I can't really wrap my head around what that problem is, because to me, can you really prove that it's going to hurt your game sales that people saw something that in any other form of media it's considered normal? Like, there's this weird thing about video games where they don't want to show the behind the scenes before it's made. It's like, what's the big deal? I really just don't understand it.
So showing the behind the scenes before it's made, the real concern there is that it's going to damage the reputation of the product. Because already, like, Reddit users were saying, this looks like a steaming pile of shit. And that's their first impression of the game. And I'm sure there's really smart people tabulating the numbers about like how impactful it is to show.
You can crunch that.
I don't think so either. But like but those figures go to their shareholders, which determines now how profitable their company is going to be going forward, right? So it can do damage. I think that's kind of less of an issue than this guy having the GTA 5 and 6 source code.
My thinking was the biggest issue is someone has either illegally accessed like company property, which that's a big one. That's a big crime, right? Or two, you have someone who's leaking something from the inside, which could mean showing off software or hardware or assets that a competitor can take advantage of.
That I think is the main one.
That's the reasonable thing to me is like, they're seeing the way we're making our game. They can try to copy it.
Not only are they seeing the way they're making their game, if you have the source code,
you can replicate
it. But you also have to remember that Rockstar uses their own in-house engine.
Yeah, which is a big deal because they don't want that.
That is a big deal.
So that's all perfectly fine and valid to me.
So that stuff, that's kind of the big stuff, and I think that's why there's a pursuit from Rockstar to find this guy, sue him into the ground, right? Yeah.
I really, in a perfect world, I would wish that big video game companies, as they're developing a game, once a month, once every 2-3 months, put together a handful of progress screenshots. Yeah. That way you stop this like hyper amazing desire to see anything before the game's coming out. I mean, it's like we all knew that at some point GTA 6 was going to come out. They can only milk it so long. Yeah. And then we see it and it's like, okay, to me, I'm not super knowledgeable about game design, but I'm like, okay, that's clearly a work in progress. Yeah. They're figuring out a game. This looks like game engine footage they're testing.
But that's because you're smart and you're reasonable.
Apparently people aren't reasonable.
Well, so video Game Tango, we have the attitude that a game should be done.
Yeah. I saw the pictures and was like,
we're willing to wait for
neat.
that.
Yeah, I know. I was looking at that and I'm like, okay, that looks like a really early build.
Yeah, exactly. That's for sure.
But like I said, the reaction on Reddit was not of that. It's like, kiss my sale goodbye, etc. And people are probably blowing a lot of smoke. Yeah, but there are people that might be a little bit serious about it, right? And
the question is like, really, how? Sorry, I keep interrupting you, Josh. How can you quantify that?
You can't,
because we know that GTA 6 is going to blow all of our wallets out of the fucking water. It's going to make a shit ton of money, regardless. So. I just don't know where legally it stands as far as potential damages. All the stolen assets, all the leak of proprietary engine stuff, that all makes perfect sense because it's just cut and dry. But I
was reading an article from, I think it was Bloomberg, that was talking about specifically the GTA 6 leaks. And I don't have anything to cite here for you guys. I'll see if I can find it for the show notes. But they were talking about why game companies aren't as transparent as they once were when it comes to the development of the game. And it seems like your big AAA studios did look into being transparent versus not for different titles and seeing sales. And what they've surmised, what the industry at large has surmised, is that being transparent of the game's development can lead to reduced sales.
It's so bizarre because that's got to be true to some point because there's a reason they do it. But on the other hand, we have early access games. We have games, especially when they're small, where it is a make it or break it. If you show off your game early and you let people play it when it's in a garbage state, you make so much more money. Yeah, it's weird how that works. But you were going to say something, Josh, before we keep going.
Well, I mean, I was thinking reputation-wise, I mean, Rockstar's kind of been taken through the ringer recently, and the last 2 years, last last December, the definitive edition. I mean, for months we laughed at fucking GTA memes of Rockstar gone wrong in their definitive release. Yeah. So I mean, I very much get their reputation. This game looks like shit because honestly, people are like, oh, Rockstar is just a money-grubbing corporation trying to get as much money from me as they can with as little work and as little care for their product. So I mean, I get why people saying it looks like shit is a big deal to them because that's recently been their news read.
And I think we have to acknowledge that we're different. We know the industry. Yeah. Whereas the people that just go out to buy a PS5 because the new Call of Duty is going to be coming out on it, and eventually, of course, they're going to get GTA 6, right? Yeah. See this, and they're like, wow, dude, that looks like a fucking turd. Because that's the only thing that they've been exposed to. They don't understand the leak. Yeah. They're seeing GTA 6, right?
Here's one last thing that I just kind of thought of. Mm-hmm. I could totally see a monetary loss because of a weird, ironic proxy. So the leak happens, people freak out about it for no reason, and then the shareholders freak out because people are freaking out. Therefore, I don't know how this works, but it could be that then their stock prices drop. Sure. Because of a concern about something where it's like nothing actually happened. There's really no news, but because of like public opinion, they're actually legitimately losing value because of weird fake upsetness over something that isn't reasonable. But I mean, you can see, I'm looking at it. There's a sharp decline in stock price because of something that you can't really quantify, but you can because the opinion makes it drop.
It is weird. Quantifiable in the way that their fucking system got hacked. Like that, I mean, like everything about this affects the share price, right? It's not just the info of the game being leaked. It's how secure are the systems? How is leadership handled? Like, I mean, fuck, if a CEO farts and it's wet, the fucking stock price will fucking drop or some shit, right? Like, definitely. I mean. So that the stock on it, definitely. They're of course concerned about that because a drop in stock is a drop in price is a drop in investor.
Final notes from me. Yeah. If you're new to this whole thing and this is news to you, just be aware, like any other form of media, you have to let it simmer. The things require time, and they're going to look weird before they look better. Art is usually one of the last thing that's finalized in a game, and they're working more on engines and math and physics and those kinds of things and all the things that go into the game before you actually get textures and optimization and all that stuff.
I mean,
don't freak out about GTA 6 from what you've seen.
When was the last time you were disappointed with a new release of a GTA? I mean, I've only been really disappointed with them when they give me back things that they tell me are going to be better than when I bought them the first time after buying them a second time. Honestly, I've been excited about every new GTA release ever since I was a 13-year-old boy. So
I was disappointed that it didn't have a simultaneous PC release, but otherwise I loved it. Yeah.
Church.
Took almost 2 years to get it on PC.
I tried playing San Andreas on PC. It was like trying to fly a fucking buffalo, dude.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I don't know how the idea of playing any GTA game on PC now, like I guess if you have a controller.
If you have a controller, or I mean 5 was meant for the PC. Like they did rebuild the game for it.
I just meant mouse and keyboard, like trying to. Oh my God, it was so.
No, I mean, I got it works pretty well. 5
minutes into San Andreas, I was like, I don't know how this is possible.
5 works. 5 works pretty well on PC. Mouse and keyboard is just fine.
That's good to know.
Yeah, they definitely redid it for PC specifically, mouse and keyboard.
In other news, rich Twitch dudes are pervy. Surprising.
Weird.
Yeah. We're gonna talk about all that bullshit.
Soon.
Okay. Some in between.
Soon, yeah. So I wanted you guys to have a couple news articles. Actually, let me talk about graphics cards real quick.
Okay. Oh, yes, please.
So Nvidia has announced the RTX 4090, the RTX 4080, and the RTX 4080 12 gig. Starting
40XT6?
No, not yet.
Fuck.
Starting at $899. So,
dude, I got $10.
Let's look at the history here. The 80 series has always been kind of their flagship, with the 90 series being the above flagship, ultra pricey, not really consumer grade, more professional grade if you're into like editing video. using it professionally. The 90 series has always been the tippy toppy.
Two flagship.
The flagship though has always been the 80 series. Let's look at the prices over time. The GTX 680, launched in 2012, was $549.
Ooh.
The 780 was $649. We do see a pretty significant price jump. Yeah. However, two very different architectures, and the 780 was like a big deal for its time.
Sure.
It was a huge leap in technology. Let's go up to the 980, which again was pretty big leap from the 780 to the 980. We see a $100 decrease. In 2014, it launches at $549 again. We're tied with the 680 at this point. So we're seeing within $100 variance of these launches. Now let's go to the 1080. She's a little bit more expensive than the 680 or the 780 at $599, but still less than 780 that was at $649. Mm-hmm. So a $600 price point for its flagship. Now the GTX 1080, that was the biggest jump probably for Nvidia's technology since they started making video cards. The 10 series is still a workhorse of a series of GPUs. In fact, Josh, you've got one.
I do.
You have a GTX 1070. Mm-hmm. And in this podcast, BC, we have a GTX 1070. Still super, super powerful card. Plays 1080p, no problem, high frame rate.
When I buy my new card, that little workhorse is going to go work for somebody else even.
That's right.
So.
That's right. So the 10 series is still lauded as probably the biggest leap in technology we've seen since NVIDIA started making GPUs. And that's really where we started seeing super high fidelity, getting into 4K. That's really when we saw that leap. Let's move on to the 2080 series. $699. Not too bad. If you adjust for inflation between 2012 and 2013 to when the 2080 series launched in 2018, a $700 price point doesn't seem too bad. That's a $100 or $150 jump if you're looking at the previous graphics card launches.
Yeah.
So it's a little expensive, but we get an entirely new technology in our graphics cards called ray tracing in the form of RTX. So it seems generally appropriate that it be a little bit more expensive. You are getting still the flagship card, still not breaking the bank, right? We kind of expect to see between $500 and $700 for our video cards. And at $700, it's at the high end, but not too bad. Let's jump to the 3080 series, $699 MSRP. Unfortunately, everybody knows what happened during the 30 series.
Yes, we do.
Crypto mining took off again and really harmed the graphics card market. So we were seeing 3080s jump up to nearly $2,000. Way, way, way above their MSRP. We were seeing up to 150% over MSRP.
Yep.
Okay. All right. They're really expensive, but we kind of understand that the crypto market's taking off, and these are just getting bought up in droves. They're, you've got people buying them up and
supply and
reselling.
Demand really is taking over, right? Yeah. There's a huge supply.
There wasn't a huge supply at the time.
Or no,
there is now.
There's a huge demand, rather.
Huge demand.
Sorry.
But the supply line due to COVID has been totally choked off. So MSRP goes up, and we keep seeing the MSRP climb. That increases the price from resellers. Let's go to the 4080 series. That's what's been announced this week. $899 for the 12 gigabyte variant. Now, okay. All right, that's $200 more than what we were seeing with the 30 series. We don't anticipate this being hit by the crypto market. Supply chain is doing a lot better since COVID started.
Sure.
But $899, and that is for the 12 gigabyte version of the flagship model, which is the lesser of the two. Now, I would have expected the 4080 to actually be the 4070 series, but they didn't announce that. Instead, they gave us two 4080s, one in the flavor of 12 gigabytes of VRAM and one in the flavor of 16 gigabytes of VRAM. The flagship 4080, the 16 gigabyte card, the one that everybody's going to want, $1,200.
That's double the price.
Yeah.
Just about from the what? That seems high. And then you add in, shit from people buying the card.
Yeah, you add in the reselling.
You don't really get it at the MSRP price, right? Most of the time. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. That's a lot.
Yeah. So Chat brings up, if I'm spending $1,200, I'm getting a whole new rig at that point. And yes, not only that, but the power requirements for 40 series is going to be higher than the 30 series, which was already high.
That's going to be huge.
You're definitely going to want to upgrade your power supply. You might even have to.
Yeah.
What we're seeing from these new ATX standards, they come with new plug-in pins. We're used to the 6-pin, the 8-pin, sometimes dual 6-pin, sometimes dual 8-pin. On your flagships, lately it's been dual 8-pin. With the 30 series, it went to a 12-pin ATX connector.
Doing a new standard?
Doing a new standard. That is expected to be included with the new power supplies, so you shouldn't have to adapt to them. New power supplies should come with the ATX 12-pin. We're also finding out that they're pushing a little bit too much power, and they're catching fire, or they're melting. So be careful when you buy your new GTX or RTX cards. Maybe wait until prices come down. I wouldn't
maybe
bet.
wait till they stop catching on fire.
Maybe that too.
Sounds like bad quality control.
Literally setting money on fire.
Unfortunately, that comes from the ATX, the guys that make the ATX standard. Now, it has been shown now that it's only when the cables are crimped too hard that they're seeing the melting or the fire potential, and that's on the user end. But if you're an inexperienced builder and you don't know not to make too hard of a right angle with those cables, and you smash them up against the rear of your case, you might be looking at a fire hazard. But in graphics card news, we have some very sad news.
That wasn't the sad news?
That wasn't the sad news.
Oh.
Not for me.
That was awful news.
EVGA is no longer manufacturing graphics
I hear
cards.
about that.
Now, EVGA has a storied history. They have been making cards for NVIDIA before they were NVIDIA.
Are they making cards for someone else now, or are they just not doing it anymore?
Sadly, no. They've said they are getting out of the graphics card market. Now, that's for now. Who knows in the future? Intel Arc is out. It's making negative waves. It's not doing too hot. But it is Intel. Intel has committed to a long plan of continuing to work on their graphics drivers and to continue working on their graphics cards. We may see something come out of that. But EVGA, having been known as probably the best customer service of all of the graphics card market,
graphics card.
they sure did.
Yeah.
We all, literally all of us in this
I've
room,
been using EVGA for decades.
we all have EVGA cards. I've got an EVGA 2080 Super. The thing powering this PC, EVGA 1070. Thing powering Nick's PC, EVGA 1050 Ti. Thing powering Josh's PC, EVGA 1070. Thing powering Justin's computer is an EVGA 2070 Super. I've been using EVGA exclusively since I got my 500 series card, my 570.
Damn.
That's
like the end of an era.
Here's the thing. Despite them being known in the industry as having the best customer service, I have never had to use their customer service because I have.
Why it's good.
Yes, exactly. I've never had a failed card from them. In fact, I don't have the 570 anymore. I sold that a long time ago. I sold that in 2012. But I have a computer that's over on the floor over there that has not only been in my hands since I built it originally in 2009. I got the 660 Ti in it in 2012. And then I sold it to our buddy Mike just a couple years ago. And then the computer took a shit on him just a few months ago. Mm-hmm. I got the computer back from him because he doesn't need it anymore. We're parting it out. And you know what's still ticking? That EVGA 680 Ti or 660 Ti.
Damn.
So since that computer has been running every day since mid 2012,
it's got heart.
And that EVGA 660 Ti is still running. Now I have done standard maintenance on it, like dusting and putting new thermal compound on it every year or two. But
clear eyes, no dust, can't lose.
That's right. Mm-hmm. But it is still running and in just fine condition. So it is sad. It's a sad day that EVGA is no longer manufacturing cards.
What are they going to fucking do? Make like playing cards?
No, they're going to continue to make
hang out with Sound Blaster.
In the last couple of years, they've broadened their market into accessories, so doing headsets and keyboards, mice, that kind of thing. So they're not a dead company, but boy oh boy, that was 80% of their annual revenue that they just lost.
You want to tell them why they did all this?
Well, it's because apparently NVIDIA are pricks. Working with NVIDIA has been a difficult prospect for them.
Well, I mean, you
Since
put
day
up
one.
with it for fucking 20 goddamn years. You can't do it for 10 more? Like,
Well,
what?
here's the thing: is
No, I mean, I guess. Sorry, that's not the attitude to have. No,
Nvidia's been taking more control over what they're allowed to sell their cards for.
okay. Yeah,
They've increased the cost of the GPUs for the AIB. That's EVGA. That's the builders that make these cards. And apparently they've just been really hard to work with, not giving them enough supply. Doing things like waiting until they announce the new cards to the public to start giving the AIBs, the add-in board partners, their specs.
Jeez.
So oftentimes EVGA has had to tune into live streams where the CEO of NVIDIA is announcing the GPUs so they can get started on working on their next coolers, so they can get started working on their next line of PCBs to add these GPUs in. So
Wow. Okay.
Sounds like a certain Roman emperor needs to fall.
yeah, so they gave up on the graphics card market. They're done, and that's sad. I'm really hoping that maybe they jump in and start working with AMD, maybe Intel.
Very flavorful.
Well, at least I know that I'd be getting an adequately cooled AMD card, and I could believe in its performance. Yeah. So that's graphics card news. I took way longer on that than I thought I was going to.
It was interesting. We started tearing into that a little bit there. So, and I mean, when something's good, credit where credit's due. God damn it.
We'll miss you, EVGA.
Yeah.
I'm so sad that I wasn't able to get. I wasn't going to buy it. So they're not going to be doing 40 series. They have no plans on manufacturing new Nvidia GPUs. They're going to keep their stock for what they have, just for the customers that they know that they've given their 5-year warranties to. So if your graphics card that you purchased this year craps out on you the next 4 or 5 years, you're still covered by your EVGA warranty because they kept their supply just for their customers,
Fucking
their
class
existing
act.
customers, right?
Class act.
Where they could just offload them if they wanted to, recoup some of their cost. Instead, they're keeping it to fulfill warranty. So, good guys. We'll miss you.
I'm going to buy one of your accessories. First one you produce, I'm coming for it.
Yeah, I'm just sad that I didn't get a 30 series because I'd love to have a 30 series EVGA, and I'll just ignore the next few.
I want an EVGA spatula.
I'll take an EVGA anything. I have a bunch of their stickers. I'm going to put it all over everything. But I want to hear some news from you guys because I've got another bombshell of a news story coming up later. So I want to hear from you guys.
Now we got to talk about it.
Okay.
All right. I mean, I have a lot of news. I just found out Sins of a Solar Empire 2 is getting a sequel, which is really exciting. Got that. We got a Homeworld 3 coming. What a year to be alive. It's 1999 again. Sins of a Solar Empire kind of rocked the RTS and 4X world back when it came out in 2008, I think is what we looked up. Kind of a weird hybrid between the two genres of a real-time game, aka Command & Conquer, Warcraft, what's the other, Supreme Commander. But with the whole kind of 4X exploring, expanding, and taking over planets. Really awesome unit control user interface with this drop-down menu that was kind of mind-blowing at the time. And it's been, 2008. What is that? 90 years since
somewhere
it came
around
out?
there, yeah.
About 93 years by my math. But yeah, Sins of a Solar Empire 2 is coming out. They have remade and updated their own in-house engine, Iron Engine 3, 64-bit multi-core. It's going to allow for seamless rejoining of multiplayer games. You can pause and save and stop at any time. Cool. They're building the game with modding from the ground up in mind, in-game modding interface and user or library. A single-player engine test will happen in fall of this year, featuring one of the factions, the Loyalists, for people who pre-order. Don't pre-order. And then multiplayer is expected to come next year, along with the second of the 3 factions, and I'm assuming probably a late 2023 or 2024 release date. I loved Sins. It was kind of a just out-of-left-field game that did some really, really neat things, and I've gone back to it a few times over the years.
Mm-hmm. It definitely has some like proto Stellaris kind of feels to it. Like
it's not trying to be Stellaris.
That 4X kind of a feel there. I mean,
but it's possible that we wouldn't have Stellaris without Sins of a Solar Empire.
Very true. Like it was before Stellaris, right? But so I'm like seeing some of that imagery there, and I'm like, okay, hey, that looks pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Elsewise, just looking into the 4-player co-op games, Warhammer 40K Darktide by Fat Shark, same people who made Vermintide 1 and 2, I believe is coming out. I had the date and I've lost it. The 30th of November. Excuse me. And they've got a beta that you can sign up for in the next few days, I think, is when they're going to cut that off to give it a shot here coming up soon in a few weeks, sometime in October. We're going to have, I believe, the link to the sign up in the show notes.
Sure will.
If you want to check that out. We talked about it before, but yeah, if you've played Vermintide, if you know anything about Warhammer, if you've played Left 4 Dead or Deep Rock Galactic, this is very similar. Super bloody, gory, grimdark Warhammer 4-player co-op set in a chaos-infested city with all your lasers and blastas and
chainsaw
swords and energy hammers and more gore than you can shake a spleen at. I enjoyed what I played of the very first Vermintide. I never tried the second one.
I did. I enjoyed what I played of the. It was either a beta or a demo weekend that I played. Yeah.
And yeah, I'm always on the lookout for more 4-player co-op games. I want to play more co-op games with my bros.
Yep.
So hopefully this will be as good as it is looking, and I'm excited to give it a shot.
Absolutely.
I mean, fuck, man. The only thing, I don't think there's anything out there that has more fucking lore than Warhammer
For
40K.
real.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
Silmarillion's number one, and then the Bible and Warhammer take
like
second place.
So, like, man, a lot of rich stuff to dive into. And I mean, if you're watching us live, you already seen what we're talking about. But it just, I mean, very big Left 4 Dead kind of feels, that grimdark kind of a feel. It looks really good. I like it. I like it.
Now, speaking of space, Josh, you have a little news story about space.
Oh, I did have a little news story about space. So way back in the year of our Lord, 2012, when we thought Mayans were somehow predicting our apocalypse.
When we were looking forward to Borderlands 2.
We were looking forward to games like Borderlands 2. A little game y'all might have heard of was announced and kickstarted. Star Citizen.
2012, holy
2012.
Yeah.
So it's been a decade. Game engines have changed since like this thing was fucking announced. But this week it hit a milestone when it passed $500 million in its Kickstarter fund. Now a majority of this money has actually come from backers rather than the game developer. I think it's 400,999,000. So like it's literally 99% of the money for this game has come from its backers. Now, boy, that is a long time to wait for a pie to cool.
It's been on the windowsill.
It's been on the windowsill for a while, and I'm seeing some. I don't know. That's a big ask. Is that a lot of money for developing a video game? That feels like a lot of money for developing a video game. Maybe not stretched over 10 years, but when it's not coming from the dev, like what? I mean,
Star Citizen is an entire can of worms that you're just starting to crack open, and there is a lot to know about it to have a strong opinion about its development and where it's going and where it's come from and how much the users have gotten their worth out of their money and what the devs are doing. Not a conversation we can have in a short period of time. If you can take anything from this, it's that this type of game is still heavily wanted. It may or may not be given.
I play it too, but it's like, at what cost? At what fucking cost? No,
to play it now, you have to spend $800,000. No. So part of that money, I'm not the person to ask, but I know a little bit. Part of that money is whales. They're people who they want like a ship named after them, so they spend $500,000 on Kickstarter. Or they've said, we're going to make a new ship type and we're only going to allow 5 of them in the game. I'm not quoting anybody. I don't know if this is true. I'm just thinking of ideas, trying to remember what I know of Star Citizen. They're like super ultra rare elite ships. You have to pay real life 10 grand to buy it, right? It's stuff like that that gets kind of in the news. It's like, somebody spent $5,000 on a ship in Star Citizen. But it's because there are people, just like in any genre of games, that love flight sims.
Oh, yeah.
We have had a absolute dearth of good flight sims for decades. So for a game company to come out and go to Kickstarter and say, hey, let's skip the publisher, give us your money, we're going to make the flight sim that we all know and love and want. It hasn't been a perfect journey. I think there's definitely some rose-colored glasses from a lot of people who have.
They released a
cost
trailer
fallacy.
when Obama was still president.
Yeah, Andy's got ships pulled up here.
These aren't ships. These are the packs in which you can buy Star Citizen to play.
Okay, they start at $45 and they go up to $1,000.
$45 gives you the Aurora MR starter pack. It gives you a single person ship, the basic starter stuff. It goes all the way up to $1,100, and then you get the UEE Exploration $2,950.
Ooh-wee.
A multiplayer, larger size ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can get other ships in-game using in-game money. I don't know exactly how it works. I'm sure you can.
Yep.
And there's a style of play that's emergent that comes solely from players that you're going to get in something like Star Citizen or EVE, where you get people rallying around and making factions and doing things that the game designers did not plan for or attend to.
I mean,
those are the kinds of things that happen in a lot of games.
I don't know. I was just perplexed at the...
It's a crazy number.
Like the amount, like, and maybe it's, I don't know, like you think about, I guess, an Avengers movie or something like that. You're like, well, it seems expensive, but not out of the ballpark. But for something,
$500 million for,
I mean, that's why I guess what
scope, a game scope this big. I bet you GTA is going to cost more than $500 million.
I don't know. We were just like, I mean, everybody was perplexed by fucking Rings of Power costing $500 million, right?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, everybody was mind blown by that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess
this is a lot bigger.
I guess this is at least stretched over 10 years
It
or
is
whatever.
10 years. What's crazy is the game is still in alpha.
Yes.
Where the controversy should lie is how much progress or lack thereof seemingly they've made over 10 years.
Well, and they're still taking money from these poor folks. Is it the same poor bastards?
It can be
forking the money over.
Yeah, it's a different environment that we have now, where early stage games in early access are available to the public, and there are a lot of people that have been playing Star Citizen in a playable way for several years now. So
okay, so there are people playing.
Yeah. Like we said, it's playable now. What we were talking about is the starter packs to get started playing Star Citizen. Okay, so you can get the base game for $45, and it comes with the pleb ship, or you can pay all the way up to $1,100 and get an immaculate ship. Don't do that. Yeah. I mean, it depends. Like if we're going to talk about EVE, let's talk about that for a second. In that, some of those ships, based on the amount of time and work and energy and people that they take to buy them, are worth tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? Yeah. So it depends on how you value your time. If you want to skip ahead to a fucking platinum level ship, you go ahead for $1,100.
It's weird. Early access it's such a large thing to talk about, try to boil it down. I was just looking it up. DayZ was in early access for 5 years. Yeah. That game still plays like it was developed 6 months ago. Besiege fucking Explosive Legos was in early access for 5 years. Yeah. Rust, 4 years. I mean, Fortnite was even 3 years. Yeah. Fortnite's come a long way. It's in its own league, right? But just the concept of something like Star Citizen being in early access for 10 years, it doesn't say as much as you think it would. It still says a lot. It tells me that the devs have not done as much as they could.
Yeah.
No game should take 10 years to develop, right? Because by that time you have so many new architectures and hardware and programs and engines that you're behind the times.
The original game they designed, like the engines they were designing this game on originally, like, I mean, and the stuff like that tech it's not usable even anymore for like, and maybe what they had in mind wasn't actually able to be done on.
I don't think they had in mind that they
right?
were going to be like one of the biggest Kickstarters ever either.
Yeah, they're the biggest crowdfunding ever done.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know.
Weird
It's just
situation.
I was just perplexed wholly by the story. Is like that much money.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess the amount of money and the length of time and what's been presented, but maybe I don't know. You guys laid out some shit that's maybe making me rethink that my initial outrage at this is perhaps not as bad as I thought. So.
Well, let's look at it this way. I've been playing World of Warcraft now. Well, I mean, I haven't been playing for the last year and a half, but we'll call that, so it's celebrating its 18th birthday this year. So I played it for 16 years at $15 a month, plus in-game purchases, plus the cost of expansions. And each expansion has been between $45 and $60.
Okay.
So if you measure that out like that, and you look at this, as there have been people playing this already for several years, and probably continue to invest their time and money into it, it's not that unrealistic, especially considering that this is, by all means, an MMO in a massively scoped universe where you have to earn fucking spaceships, right? By doing things like, I mean, you can buy them with cash. You absolutely can. But you can also use the in-game currency through mining efforts and creating businesses, using the in-game economy to sell your goods to eventually earn better shifts. And that's what a lot of people do. A lot of people pick up the starter pack out of intrigue, and then a year down the road, they've upgraded to, 5 new ships, right? So we actually had people in our chat just a few weeks ago trying to convince us to get into Star Citizen.
No, it was a different game. No, I guess
it was Star Citizen. Yeah.
There's Star Citizen. There's also Elite Dangerous, which you don't want to confuse it with.
Yeah, you don't want to. Yeah, but we had people in there talking about Star Citizen. That's why we started talking about the cost of Star Citizen, right? So, it seems like it's got a happy player base.
Yeah, if you enjoy, like we always say, if you're enjoying yourself, awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do what you want with your time and your money.
$500 million, 10 years. I just want to give an example. There's a game I recently played, an indie game called Astrox Imperium, ASTROX. It is a single guy, and he's making even single player.
Okay.
And it is way farther along than you would expect.
Sure.
He has released, I believe it's a weekly update without pause for multiple years in a row.
Yeah.
And it's just one dude. And the game's like $10, $15. It's not made $500 million.
Yeah.
But at some point, more money isn't going to make your game faster or better.
Yep.
It's not going to come out sooner. But with $500 million,
I can only, dude, absolutely.
Right?
I 100% agree. Yeah. And I have no doubts that a lot of time in the dev studio is spent doing things like thinking.
Probably concerned panic about what they're going to do, knowing they have all this money and they don't want to fuck it up.
Yeah.
And they people are going to expect a lot because they have a lot of money. Mm-hmm. Like we saw something similar with Valheim. They got way overwhelmed. They're like, we released this indie game and it blew the fuck up. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, we're about to go on summer vacation. Like we didn't expect this to happen, And now people are freaking out because the Mistlands aren't out. It's like, slow down, people.
Yeah.
So I don't know exactly where Star Citizen lies. I haven't followed it enough. All I know is this is a sticky wicket. It's a weird soup.
I'll say this. The consumer themselves is at least a little at fault every time they pick up an early access game and then get frustrated that new content isn't rolling out fast enough or that they're playing an incomplete game.
You chose to play an incomplete game when you paid for early access.
There are instances, of course, where the developer turns it into vaporware, or they take your money and run, or they are a lot slower at their updates than what they promised. Some of that is excusable, some of it isn't. So the onus does land on the developer a little bit in some cases, but I would say more often than not, it's your own fault.
Yeah, it's caveat emptor, man. Especially coming from someone who's done a lot of Kickstarters for tabletop role-playing game stuff. I've been burned a few times. People just cheated me out of my money.
Yeah.
But that was about 3 times, 2.5 out of over 130-something projects.
Yeah.
Eventually you just learn to accept that every once in a while, if you're not doing your homework, you're going to get, burned. So.
And just remember, every time you buy an early access game from one of your favorite launchers, like Steam, we'll use that as an example. It gives you a warning.
Yeah.
It says early access game. Get instant access and start playing. Get involved with this game as it develops. Note, this early access game is not complete and may or may not change further. If you are not excited to play this game in its current state, then you should wait to see if the game progresses further in development. Literally on every single early access page, it has this warning.
Every time you complain about an early access game, Miyazaki gets another gray hair. Stop it.
Well, guys, I think we've already gone a little bit too long for my major bombshell of a story, so we're going to probably have to wait until next week. Or I might do a solo venture one of these days and just talk about it. I do want to talk, not tonight, obviously, it's just a little spoiler here, about some of the ongoing Twitch drama between It's Slicker, Crazy Slick, Asmongold, Mizkif, the entirety of OTK, Twitch themselves, the Twitch CEO, Trainwrecks, XQC, Adept, the whole gang.
You need to start a podcast, TRAMA, Trauma. That is Twitch drama.
Ooh.
You can have that one for free.
Ooh, I'm taking it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably taken, but misspelled trauma.
Yeah.
No, that's a great idea.
Trauma.
And I'm gonna have to go reserve that before we post this podcast. But yeah, absolutely. So
I'm sorry. It is the loosely woven hyphal tissue in the basidiomycete fungi. Yeah. Okay.
ooh,
Yeah.
Twama. Yeah.
Yeah.
Twama.
Twama.
Twama. Hey, everybody, welcome back to Twama.
Why are we lisping it? When did that happen?
No, that's
It's
a great
the
idea.
TW for Twitch.
Yeah,
Oh,
Twitch.
that's better.
So yeah, I might be doing it on my own. We might save it for next week. We'll see how it goes. It depends on how busy my shit is. But there's a lot there. It has to do with, oh boy, gambling, lying, cheating, sexual assault. It's everything. And boy, oh boy, does
Young dudes got too much money and they do exactly what you expect them to.
Yeah, dog. No, honestly, I mean, the sexual assault allegations are probably the smallest part of the story, maybe the least devious at the end of the day. Not to say they're insignificant. Of course, we don't want to say that, but in all honesty, it's a complex one. We'll say that. So we'll save that for another time. Do you guys have anything else you'd like to talk about before we sign off for the night?
If my bladder was a video game, it only comes in one difficulty right now.
You should have saved that for your intro.
Yeah, you really should. So I would talk about just
real quick.
Project Red
Yeah.
and Cyberpunk. They have seen, now they timed this right with their update. That is the last update that it's fixing all that last little bit of shit there.
Most of it.
Before their Liberty update, Ghost of Liberty, Phantom of Liberty, something of Liberty DLC that's coming out, I think 2023. I'm sorry, CD Projekt Red. I'm shitting the bed on the name.
You know,
of
the
your
Freedom
thing.
whatever update.
No, it's shit. I
No, it's fine. It's fine.
It's something Liberty.
We're not necessarily laughing at you. We're laughing at Chad a little bit too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this week, since the Edge Runners on Netflix also released update show, same name, they have doubled their active players in Night City this week. So I mean, congrats to them, and they actually threw out a big thank you to everyone.
Turns out when you put out good stuff, people like it.
Yes, isn't that weird? So, I mean, this is just the last little bit there. I thought it was cool that
Definitely.
They timed it just right, and honestly, it's making it was good enough. I kind of want to play.
And if you have seen Edge Runners, stick around because we are going to talk quite a bit about it in Balcony Time, our next podcast.
Yes, sir. Aside from that, we are taking a break next week. We will not be going live or have a podcast next week. I'm taking some time off.
He's going to Reykjavik, Iceland to see the volcanoes.
I wish. No, instead, actually, I'm going to spend 6 days working on the podcast. Redesign. We talked a little bit about it last week with chat. We didn't bring it up on the podcast at all, but I just want to let everybody know ahead of time that next week we will not have a podcast out. We probably won't even go live. But yeah, I'm going to be redoing, hopefully, this whole shebang, so everybody that's watching can see our what do they call that Hollywood Squares type thing that we've got going on with chat.
You can see our leaked early access footage.
No. But hopefully I've got a good theme that ties everything together. It's going to be really cool if I can pull it off. Man, I'm not that talented, so it takes me a lot of time, and I've been working on it already for a while, but I need like at least a good week.
Yeah, we need that
to kind of piece it all together. Yeah,
So
totally.
Because I need to Photoshop like you in a block of cheese against that GTA 6 photo and post it as a video game tango leak for the new theme.
I mean, you can. But yeah, I'm going to be working on a new theme for the podcast. Hopefully we're going to have, I doubt next week is going to yield all of it, but new intros, new music, new themes, stuff to do between segments. So new plans for the podcast. It's not going to change your listening or your watching experience too much, but I think it's going to be really cool, and it's going to add to the flavor of the podcast.
I'm excited. This is news to me, so I'm very excited.
That's weird because I've been talking about it every week for like 2 months.
The theme a couple weeks
yeah,
ago.
Yeah. But so that's what I'm going to be doing. Okay. So I'm going to be hard at work on that. I'm going to need your guys' opinion, so I think I'm still going to have you over here next week. For
whatever
bit,
Josh says is wrong.
That's
fair
correct. I am frequently right about choices in style and pomp and circumstance.